That is because you don't have the permit to have the concert.
I don't think you need a permit to worship in a church.
Common sense, loony, that's my tune. Bringing truth to the red and white moon.
Personally, I am a man.
Welcome to another Common Sense Loony. I'm Rex, doing my best to bring common sense to crazy stories across Canada. This episode is something a little bit different. It's just one story. I usually try to cover a few stories, but this is a long one, and one I wanted to get out there as soon as I could. It's about how one guy coordinated with CBC to do a hit piece on a musician, and now that's turned into a wave of anti-Christian sentiment across Canada, and surprise, surprise, protests from the usual suspects. It all started with a shoddy piece of journalism from CBC Halifax that looked more like cancel culture propaganda than actual reporting. On July 22nd, 2025, CBC aired a segment titled, "Residents Want MAGA Musicians Concert at Parks Canada Historic Site Cancelled."
Christian rock musician is stirring up controversy as he begins a cross-Canada concert tour. Now, it's set to start in Halifax this week, but the choice of venue is causing concern for local residents. For more on this story, we're joined by CBC's Brett Ruskin, who's in Halifax. Brett, tell us more about this event and why some people are not that happy about it.
Yeah, Natasha, so this event is happening right here at York Redoubt. So this is a Parks Canada owned and operated site, a scenic, historic site here in Halifax. And this event is going to be a concert by Sean Feucht. Now, he is a religious leader, someone who says he's coming to Canada for a series of concerts from the East Coast to the West Coast to, quote, save Canada and to spark a religious revival. Now, Sean Feucht, again, is a religious leader. He ran as a conservative Republican candidate back in 2020 in the state of California, was not elected. He during the COVID-19 pandemic, he and his church spoke out against and went in violation of the mask regulations, the large group gathering regulations. He's spoken out in support of Donald Trump and against abortion, US LGBTQ plus rights, and generally, folks here are not happy about the possibility of having this event scheduled here in Halifax, as well as other sites. But here are what some of the locals here are saying about this event being hosted and held on Parks Canada land.
My main concern is the promotion of views that are anathema to the principles of Canada, and particularly the views that are specifically on the Parks Canada website, their own guiding principles of inclusion and respect. I don't think this guy fits that bill at all. We need to have it cancelled, period.
And so again, the concert is still scheduled to go ahead tomorrow evening here in this Parks Canada operated site. Natasha.
So what's been the response so far from officials?
Well, yeah, so CBC News has reached out to Sean Feucht's team, haven't heard back any kind of a comment, haven't heard back either from Parks Canada, still waiting any kind of statement, any kind of response or request for interview about how this event was selected, how it was approved to happen here at this site. Now, CBC News has heard or has seen a letter that was sent from the local MP, Shannon Miedema, to a concerned resident. In that letter, she wrote that while she has the utmost respect for freedom of speech, that this particular event goes against the core tenets, the core values of Parks Canada. And so she is against this event taking place. And so we'll have to see what happens the next little while, because, again, this event happening here at this Parks Canada site, there's also events that are set to happen in Charlottetown, in Moncton, in Ottawa and Toronto, as well as further east, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Abbotsford, on this cross Canada tour that'll happen over the next month or so. Natasha.
CBC's Brett Ruskin in Halifax. Thank you, Brett.
This flimsy excuse for a story sparked a firestorm, setting off a chain of events that's got Canadians asking, is our country turning against Christian faith? Okay, let's talk about this so-called outrage CBC claimed was sweeping Halifax. They interviewed one random guy in a park, Larry Stewart, to represent the supposed fury of the community. They couldn't find a group, not even a couple, just random park guy Larry. That's it. Just Larry. Larry! They couldn't even provide a single photo of a crowd or a protest to back up their narrative. The park in this segment looks completely deserted and no sign of protest with the exception of Larry! The only other evidence was a letter from Liberal MP Shannon Midema to a resident who I suspect is Larry! And this letter CBC quoted, but they didn't even bother to show it. They didn't even bother to interview the MP. This story is all dressing with no salad. This wouldn't have passed the bar for a high school project. No sources, no specific quotes from Feucht's alleged hateful views, just vague accusations of him being a mega musician, but this poorly sourced hit piece lit a match on a tinderbox. The cancel mob won.
Welcome back. A controversial American religious leader and musician is starting a cross-Canada tour today, but he hasn't gotten a warm welcome at his first stop in Nova Scotia. To tell us more about all this is Brett Ruskin in Halifax. Brett, bring us up to speed. It sounds like the original venue has revoked the event permit for tonight's show.
That's right, Chris. So this concert, this American musician has been coming here, is on his way here to Nova Scotia, and he was going to perform at a Parks Canada site called York Redoubt. It is a popular historic site run by Parks Canada, and he was going to be performing there. He did have a permit to perform there, but that permit has now been revoked because people were unhappy about having this American performer, this American religious leader here. And so late last night, after 11 o'clock, Parks Canada confirmed to CBC News that because of emerging safety and security considerations, this permit has been revoked.
By July 23rd, Parks Canada caved, citing evolving safety and security concerns based on planned protests. Does this really look like the site of a massive protest? How many followers does Larry have? I can't find a single picture of more than 5 people at this park. Interesting enough, though, I did find this Instagram post, a letter to Parks Canada. And guess who it's from? Larry! Dear Parks Canada, please cancel the MAGA music concert. By the way, it's a worship concert, not a MAGA concert. Why would we have a MAGA concert in Canada? Especially Halifax? Anyways, please cancel the concert this week at Nova Scotia's Redoubt National Historic Site, a fortification constructed in 1793. Local residents... Wait a second. Local residents? This park is in Ferguson's Cove. I looked it up. The population is so sparse, it has no official population available. You just have to go there, walk around, and count the people. Anyways, local residents are protesting the show being put on by a Christian musician and Trump lover Sean Feucht, who openly abuses the 2SLGBQT plus community and women's rights. Okay, just gotta pause here for a second. There's no reports of him abusing LGBTQT rights. He has stated, as many have, that promoting sexuality to children in schools is not right, in his opinion. And women's rights? No records of that either. But there are many women's lib groups that are against biological men in women's sports, so that's kind of an oxymoron, no? Larry goes on to say, we don't need MAGA scum making money or preaching at Canada's national parks. Real tolerant there, Larry. Real tolerant. Feucht's Halifax concert was shut down. And then the dominoes fell. Charlottetown, Moncton, Quebec City, Gatineau, and Vaughan all canceled his permits too. 6 cities, 6 cancellations, all because of a single CBC story and Larry! So, who is Sean Feucht? He's a Christian musician and worship leader who first gained prominence in 2020 during COVID lockdowns. While governments cracked down on church gatherings, Feucht organized massive outdoor worship concerts all across the U.S., defying restrictions he saw as targeting Christians. He also raised eyebrows by pointing out the double standard. His peaceful gatherings were shut down, fined, and vilified, while Black Lives Matter protests, some spiraling into vandalism, arson, and chaos, were often given a free pass by authorities. Sound familiar? So we fast forward to 2025 and Feucht announces his Revive in 25 tour in Canada, kicking off in Halifax. Coincidentally, this tour lands at a tense moment in Canada. Just as Feucht's concerts are being cancelled, Canada's gearing up for the sentencing of Freedom Convoy organizers Chris Barber and Tamara Lich. You remember the convoy. 3 weeks of peaceful protests in Ottawa against COVID mandates in 2022, shut down by Trudeau's unprecedented use of the Emergencies Act. Many Canadians saw that as government overreach, trampling on our rights to free assembly, and now Barber and Lich face up to 8 years in prison for mischief. Yeah, that's right, mischief. Anyways, let's go back to Feucht. He didn't stay silent. On July 24th, he posted on X, the official word from Ottawa, free speech is dead in Canada. Freedom of religion for Christians is not tolerated. The Church of Canada better wake up. He doubled down the next day saying, here's the hard truth. If I had shown up with purple hair and a dress, claiming to be a woman, the government wouldn't have said a word. but to publicly profess deeply held Christian beliefs is to be labeled an extremist. Feucht was undeterred and moved his tour to Montreal on July 25th, performing at Église Mr. Church after his original venue was cancelled. But the chaos followed. Montreal police swarmed the church, taping off the entrance to manage a small group of anti-Trump and Antifa protesters banging pots and waving flags. Now, I've looked at the footage of this, and I count about 20 people out there and 2 Palestinian flags. Whoa, Palestinian flags? Wrong protest site, guys. Then, mid-worship, Feucht claims Antifa ran inside and threw 1 or 2 smoke bombs at him while police stood by. He posted on X, "Antifa ran inside the church mid-set and threw 2 smoke bombs at my face while police watched. Good thing I lead worship in Canada with my eyes open. Miss me." Rebel News reported police arrested 1 protester, but the incident remains unconfirmed by mainstream outlets or police statements. Yeah, not holding my breath on that. Why is it so terrible to worship? Feucht's events aren't occupying streets or universities. He's not burning anything down. His crowds, from what we've seen, aren't massive mobs. They're small, peaceful gatherings of Christians singing and praying. Yet Canada's treating him like a national security threat. Meanwhile, Muslim prayer gatherings have been allowed in public spaces, even on roads all across Western countries, including Canada, with little to no pushback. Over the past few years, Canada's seen dozens of churches burned or vandalized, over 80 since 2021, often tied to controversies over residential schools. When former NDP leader Jagmeet Singh was asked by Rebel News about the spike in church burnings and anti-Christian hate, he dismissed it, saying, "I'm not going to respond to an organization that promotes misinformation and disinformation like Rebel News. So, no, I'm not going to respond to your question."
Hello, Mr. Singh. Drea Humphrey with Rebel News. Your party takes great pride in standing against hate such as white supremacy, Islamophobia, and online...
Sorry, I didn't get your outlet.
Drea Humphrey with Rebel News.
Okay.
Your party...
You know where I'm going to go with this, all right?
Can I speak?
Yeah, you can. I'm just going to say you know where I'm going to go with it, though.
Your party takes pride in standing against hate such as white supremacy, Islamophobia, and online hate speech. Yet you stay silent about ongoing attacks against Christians, even after Conservative MP Jamil Javani's order paper question revealed that over 200 churches have been targeted by arson and vandalism since claims of remains being discovered at former residential schools swept the nation in 2021. Will you condemn the rise in acts of hate against Christians today and explain what your party will do?
Again, thank you, but I'm not going to respond to an organization that promotes misinformation and disinformation like Rebel News, so no, I'm not going to respond to your question.
That was quite a lengthy response to say he wasn't going to respond. Now, while Rebel News claims 200 churches, we can only verify 80, but still, 80? That's not a small number. Okay, back to Sean again. What's next for Feucht's tour? He's already found replacement venues in Halifax, Charlottetown, and Moncton. Private fields and churches stepping up where public spaces shut him out. His Western Canada leg is set for August, hitting Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Edmonton, West Kelowna, and Abbotsford. But will these cities follow the same cancel script? Feucht's defiant, posting on X, "They can cancel our permits across Canada, but they cannot steal our joy." So are Canadians really attacking faith? Look at the pattern. A flimsy CBC article that I suspect was crafted by Larry. That sparks a nationwide pile-on. Venues are pressured to cancel, police surround a church, and smoke bombs are allegedly thrown at a worship service. All because Feucht's a Christian who does not bow to progressive orthodoxy. I'm not a follower of Sean Feucht. I've never heard of him. But I respect his right to perform in worship. He's not blocking highways. He's not setting fires. He's saying about faith. And here's the irony. Like I said, I've never heard of this guy. And I never would have, if it wasn't for these enraged protesters amplified by a weak CBC hit piece. They're giving him more attention than he could have dreamed of. Good job, guys. And especially good job, Larry! Forcing everyone to conform to one worldview, shutting down debate, and picking which beliefs are acceptable is not freedom. It's the end of free society. If Canada can't tolerate a Christian musician in a church, what's next? Seriously, what's next? We're at a crossroads, and it's time to ask, do we still believe in free speech and religious liberty? Or are we okay with silencing those who don't fit the mold? So that's my take on this whole hit piece and canceling of a Christian musician. I don't know what's happening in Canada sometimes. Sometimes I see the light, and sometimes I just see crazy fires. What do you think? Comment below, and thanks for watching Common Sense Loony. I'm Rex, and if you like this or you want to join us, please subscribe, like, and share. Stay strong, stay skeptical, and stay loony.
I'm here to cut through the haze, no disguise. Gonna open your eyes to politicians' lies. Canada's great, but led by wackos, it's true. Time for no nonsense, me and you. I'm the common sense loony.